for coming and meeting with me in regard to Aikman and his strengths and areas of growth in reading. I'd like to let you know that Aikman is a wonderful student and shows great strength in many areas of reading. He participates well in class and is always willing to share his thoughts. Aikman is a great help in the classroom, and he really does help out his peers and the teachers. For this conference, we will be first discussing the areas of reading that we have been assessing throughout the year, and then go over his strengths and areas of growth for his reading, and we'll end answering any questions you may have. The areas of assessment that we've been assessing this year are phonics, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. Phonics is the ability to see, understand, and verbalize the connection between letters and sounds. We utilize phonics when decoding words and sounds to read new words. Vocabulary is the ability to interpret and understand the meaning of a word. It is gained through discovery of new words and using clues within a text to discover the new word. Fluency is the ability for one to read words without displaying cognitive or mental effort. This means that reading is automatic and it's done without effort. Comprehension is the ability to understand the meaning of the text. When students are able to read a text fluently, they are able to interpret what the author means through the text. Do you have any questions so far?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so first we'll go over some of Aikman's strengths within reading, and one of his greatest strengths is comprehension. We assessed Aikman in comprehension against the Dibbles testing, which is the dynamic indicators of basic early literacy. It is important to assess comprehension because it allows us to see how well a student understands what they are reading. Aikman shows strong comprehension skills, and there are no immediate areas of growth that I am concerned about for him in regard to comprehension. Aikman has done consistently well in his comprehension skills over the course of the year, and he's actually received a 3 or 4 on quality of response in his assessment, and the highest score you can receive is a 4, so receiving a 3 or 4 throughout the semester really is shows that he is really comprehending what he is reading and is able to communicate that well. In order to continue Aikman's growth in this area, we are focusing on retelling in the classroom. The ability to retell a story allows for students to express their understanding of a text in their own words. Stating something in one's own words helps to gain a greater meaning of the text for the student. In order to help further Aikman's comprehension abilities at home, you can read with him and ask him questions throughout the story about the characters, setting, anything like that will help to trigger those thoughts about comprehension and help him to retain that. Another area that Aikman is strong in is in fluency. And in order to assess fluency, we also used the Dibbles testing. Fluency is an important aspect of reading, and therefore it is important for students to be assessed on their abilities to read through a text with little effort. We know that when we read something, an article or something now that we are adults, we don't really think about it, and so we want students to be able to get to that level. Actually, Aikman's lowest score in this area has been a 95%. Over the course of the year, so we really have no concerns with him in regard to his fluency in reading, but we're always looking for ways to grow our students, and so we are focusing on rereading a text. So when a student might rush through a text, we encourage them to reread it, and then that way that fluency becomes more natural, and so they don't rush to rush through text. And then in order to help him out at home, you can always read aloud with him and hear how he reads and see if the reading is fluent. Sometimes when we read in our heads, we can't tell whether the reading is fluent, but if you read out loud, you can hear that for yourself. Do you have any other questions in regard to that?
No, I don't believe so. Okay.
So there are 2 areas in which we're concerned slightly with Aikman's reading, and one of the areas is phonics. We assessed him in phonics according to the Scholastic Read Nonsense Words test, and this test helps us to identify what areas of reading that he might struggle with in identifying certain words. And it's important to assess phonics because when students struggle with phonics, then it can lead to other problems in comprehension and fluency. So we want to continue his growth in comprehension and fluency, so we want to make sure that we improve upon this area as soon as possible. And the area that he scored the lowest in this area was identifying multisyllabic words, so words with multiple syllables within them. And so one strategy that we are using to help him improve this is to use segmentation. And this is a strategy in which we separate the syllables in the word. We can have the students write it out and then read it, see it on a flashcard, but just have that ability and trigger in the mind to segment the word so that students are able to segment it better. Additionally, at home, in order to help him with this, you can also use flashcards for multisyllabic words and have him read them, and then that will start to trigger his ability to recognize that when he's reading. And the last area we'd like to talk about is vocabulary. We assessed Aikman in his vocabulary development according to the Davidson-Bruce word meaning test. Vocabulary is an important aspect of reading as it allows for students to understand what the words of a text mean so that they are able to comprehend the reading overall. Aikman did well on words at levels grades 2 and 3, but struggled a little bit on level or grade 4 words. Strengthening his knowledge of words at the 4th grade level is imperative to him growing in his reading abilities beyond 4th grade. So this is something that we're worried about just as he moves into 5th grade within the next couple of months. And that's why we kind of want to start working on it now. And in order to help Aikman develop his vocabulary, we have been using the strategy of using context clues. And so that is basically when reading a text, using the other words that the student is familiar with to identify the meaning of that new word. And this can also be done at home with Aikman when you're reading with him. Do you have any questions in regard to that?
No, I don't believe so.
All right, so I just had a few questions for you, and so I can better help Aikman in the classroom. So first, I was wondering if you had any concerns about Aikman in regarding to his reading abilities.
Sometimes I have a hard time getting him to read with me at home, but other than that, I really don't have any other concerns.
Okay. What strategies are you using with Aikman at home to help him grow in his reading?
We figured it'd be best if he was reading every single night. Besides that, we also practice spelling and vocabulary weekly, which seems to be helping.
That's awesome. And then what are things that you and Aikman would like to see more from me in regard to reading instruction in the classroom?
I believe it'd be helpful if we know that Aikman enjoys really being read to, so something along those lines where you read aloud in the classroom would really help.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me?
I was wondering if there's any specific books that I should be reading with Aikman at home?
There aren't really any specific books that you should be reading with him, but finding books that are slightly above his reading level will help him to grow in his reading abilities.
Okay, and how many minutes of reading would you like Aikman to be doing every single night?
About 20 to 30 minutes of reading a night is a good amount of time for Aikman to be reading.
Alright, that's all I have.
Alright, well, I'd like to let you know that Aikman really is a great addition to my class, and I'm so grateful that I'm able to be his teacher. Thank you again for coming in, and I appreciate you taking the time to discuss how we can work together to strengthen and grow Aikman's reading abilities.
Thank you.